of all ages. The Nerdy Man Room Show proudly brings you cards subject to change with Hassel. And this week, we are going to tackle the what if Eric Bischoff's Big Bang had actually transpired in WCW in 2001. So for those of you that's out of the loop, basically what happened was Eric Bischoff was together with a group of like-minded individuals. They were going to buy WCW, and they were going to take it over, and they were going to basically reboot it. They were going to pull it off the air for about 3 months, get their stuff back together, minimize some cost. They were going to be based out of Las Vegas, something that the UFC has ironically made work, so we know this would have worked. They were going to base themselves out of Las Vegas, and they were going to relaunch with a pay-per-view called The Big Bang. Not Theory, not to be confused with that show, but The Big Bang. And they would have restarted there, and then they would have done syndicated tapings, and probably very similar to what Vince done when Vince was in his struggle days, where he's live on week, tape episode, live on week, tape episode. But however, the deal quickly fell apart when WCW or Time Warner, and let's just be honest, people, Time Warner is who killed WCW. It was not ratings. It was not all the infighting, as much of it as there was. It wasn't even the poor Vince Russo booking, as bad as that got. They were actually beginning to get on a creative upswing towards the end. Actually, last few pay-per-views were pretty damn solid. Scott Steiner's run as champion was starting to turn things around. Some of the young new talent that they were starting to push and get behind with a good mix of the veterans. All of this was starting to do a turnaround. Unfortunately, like I said, Time Warner just did not want them. They didn't fit their portfolio. They didn't want professional wrestling on TNT any longer. That was going to be the Drama Network. So as a result, without the TV slots, and without being able to secure a deal, nobody was going to sink $65 million into WCW. Next thing you know, Vince McMahon buys it for $6 million. It's rumored to be as low as 4, high as 6. Either way, 65, 6. Substantially different. Now, he did only acquire a handful of the contracts, to where Bischoff was going to acquire a good many. He was going to restructure some, see who was willing to take a cut, who was willing to just keep their buyout from Time Warner and not be a part, etc., etc. But what if? What if he had done it? But before we kick into that right there, I got to take a brief second. This past week, just 2 days ago, as I'm filming this on a Saturday, we lost one of the biggest icons of professional wrestling. Love him or hate him, good or bad, aside from what he done outside the ring, I don't get into all that there. His contributions to the sport, to making the WWF and WWE and WCW, making wrestling not only a household name in the 80s, removing the stigma that went with pro wrestling in the 80s and 90s. And then in the 90s, kicking off what would become the biggest revolution and making wrestling cool enough to speak about as a teenager, the immortal Hulk Hogan. We lost a giant in the industry. So all you 80s kids out there, all you former little Hulkamaniacs, man, our hearts go out to you, because I know it certainly got to us. Like I said, I don't look at what he done outside the ring. I mean, we're all human at the end of the day. We all make poor decisions, and some of us repent, some don't. He took a repentance in the baptism chamber. That's good enough for me. The rest is between him and the Lord. But respect, love, peace, hope. With that being said, let's dive into the old meat and potatoes of what we're really here for today. The what if. What if the Big Bang had actually went down? Let's do this. So on March 26, 2001, we have the final Nitro. Eric Bischoff announces that this will be the final Nitro on Turner Broadcasting. That's right, people, as they will relaunch with the PPV of The Big Bang on May 6th, Then Nitro will move to FX every Wednesday night. That's right, people. We're going to change nights and networks. They could get away with so much shit on FX because they were no longer being allowed to get along with anything on TBS and TNT due to, practice and standards. So we're getting out of there. They're going to escape and they're going to go away from there. So let's do that. Now, as far as the final Nitro on Turner Broadcasting goes, the only change we make at all is Scott Steiner retains the world title against Booker T. Booker T does not become the champ because of, the fact that he is accepting the WWF's deal. Scott is going to stay with the company. Scott's going to take the 3 months away. He's going to heal up and fix his ankle, so to speak. He'll go ahead and get the surgery so that when they kick back off, he's good to go. So Scott Steiner retains the world title. Sting and Flair still close the show because, what better way to close out the final Nitro on Turner Broadcasting than with the Nature Boy Ric Flair and the franchise himself, the icon, Sting. Now, during the 3 months away from WCW would use WCW.com and FX to run shorts with updates of signings, and they would sign a unique pairing for their new broadcast team as they would sign Joey Styles and Jerry the King Lawler for commentary. So, for those of you that don't know, during this time, Jerry the King Lawler left the WWF due to his girlfriend at the time, the Cat. He left, said, "Fuck you, Vince, I'm taking my ball and going home," so to speak. There'll be some more of that later. He bolted. ECW folded during the same time period there. A lot of things going on during this time. Vince, this is why late 2001 into 2002 WWF got stagnant AF. Quick, had no competition. Vince got a little lazy over the next couple of years, and that's why we got some of what we got. So, Joey Styles and Jerry the King Lawler, they are your commentary team for WCW moving forward. Now, they use the shorts on FX, WCW.com for all kinds of Big Bang updates. Behind the scenes, Eric would have learned from his past mistakes, giving the booking over to Dusty and none other than Paul Heyman. That's right, people. Instead of Paul going over to Vince because it was the only show in town, what if Paul E. Dangerously went back to WCW where he got his start and he became part of the booking crew there with the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, baby. Since ECW had folded, even working deals out with Slim Jim, so they were able to get sponsorship for the new program on FX and the Las Vegas brand, as well as securing the Macho Man Randy Savage. Yeah! So they did announce during this time also that instead of doing 12 pay-per-views a year, they will stick to doing bi-monthly pay-per-views, lowering themselves back down to 6 pay-per-views a year. Now, honestly, I think this would have been very smart on this behalf. It's cost-saving AF, as well as, let's face it, people, even now today, we got this. There's too much with the PLEs and the pay-per-views. Vince had the perfect formula back when it was 4 a year, 1 quarterly. That was, in my idea. I was even fine with 5 when you added King of the Ring to the mix. But WCW will do bi-monthly, 6 a year. On May 6th, the Big Bang pay-per-view kicks off with Eric Bischoff welcoming everyone to this historic night as he states that he needs someone to keep the madness in WCW in check, and out comes Macho Man Randy Savage as he is announced to be the commissioner of WCW. So instead of us going the route of evil Eric, or the people wanting to love Eric and we also love to hate Eric, Macho Man will be our commissioner moving forward. Freak out, freak out, freak out. Who better than the Macho Man to keep the freaks on a leash? Oh yeah. The opening match will be none other than Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio. I just like pulling the Santino every now. Relaunching versus Sugar Shane Helms for the Cruiserweight Championship. Great start to the show, but Ray, he is going to be the face of our Cruiserweight division moving forward. He wins the title and is your new Cruiserweight champ. Moving on to the Tag Team Championship of the World. We get the Tag Team Champions O'Hare and Palumbo versus Bam Bam Bigelow and a surprise partner, none other than It's time. It's Vader time. That's right. Vader was wrestling in Japan at the time. Now is the perfect time for Vader to come home to where he was dominant in WCW. Who's the man? Fans are way into this one right here as the two massive men look great. And the tag team champs, O'Hare and Palumbo, they hold their own for a little while, dishing back a little bit. Vader powerbombs O'Hare while Bam Bam hits the greetings from Asbury Park on Palumbo and new WCW World Tag Team Champions, Bam Bam Bigelow and Vader. In the back, Macho Man would announce that starting this Wednesday on FX, there will be a tournament to crown a new television champion for WCW. There will be an 8-man tournament for the vacant title, and this will be the newest acquisition will be the first person in the next match as we go out into the night. Buff comes down for the next match. Now it's Buff Daddy. You know, everybody loves the... Hey, you know what? Let's give a little love out to Buff right now. He just had his leg amputated off. Speedy recovery, buddy. But Buff Daddy comes down, and who other than the newest acquisition, King Ass Styles, who it is, who could it be? Then Pantera Walk erupts from the speakers, and out comes Mr. Pay-Per-View, Rob Van Dam. RVD shines in a 10-minute match. Frog Splash for the win for RVD. Next, we get a promo with a sizzle reel for none other than Goldberg. Who's next this Wednesday? Booker T defends the United States Championship against Shane Douglas. Booker T pulls out a narrow victory to retain. We get a shot of a skybox, and up there it's just full of beautiful women. That's all you see is beautiful women. And then in the middle, it's none other than Ric Flair watching the show. When none other than Lex Luger walks into the skybox, sits next to Rick, they look at each other, smile, and throw up a 4. Woo! In the main event, we get WCW World Champion Scott Steiner versus DDP versus Double J Jeff Jarrett versus Sting. That's right, people. You couldn't have had the first pay-per-view without Sting. Come on, what's wrong with y'all? 5-star matchup as the men use their 3 months off to heal, bulk up, and get in tremendous shape and get their wits back about them. So Steiner picks right back off where he left off at as being a loose cannon, a massive heat, almost as big as his biceps. Sting locks Jarrett into the Scorpion, and he wins the World Heavyweight Championship. Sting is once again the man of WCW. Let's face it, folks. If you're starting and you're restarting the brand of WCW, we're going to do it right. Sting is the franchise, and he's going to be the face that runs the place for WCW on FX. Wednesday night Nitro on FX opens with ridiculous fireworks. The traditional Nitro stage, it returns as well. Let's face it, people, that first Nitro stage, that was pure perfection for WCW. World Champion Sting comes down to kick off the very first episode. Sting hypes the crowd up and states that he is the franchise for a reason, and now he is the world champ once again, when none other than them sirens hit, and out comes Big Papa Pump. The big bad booty daddy Scott Steiner comes out and demands a rematch since Sting stole his title, and he didn't beat him, folks. Sting says, "Okay, Scotty, you're on next week." The first match in the World Television Tournament is none other than Sabu versus Canyon. Who better? A lot of people. Sabu gets the win. That's right, people. We're going to pick up and acquire some of this ECW talent, and because Vince wasn't going to do nothing with Sabu. The only one he did a little something with is RVD, but we acquired him with a little bit of money because we repurposed some money, people. The second match in the TV title tournament is none other than the Natural, Dustin Rhodes versus Stevie Ray. This match is far better than expected, but Dustin gets the win. What if in the back, when the limo pulls up and out steps Lex Luger and Ric Flair? Reporter Scott Hudson is on hand to ask the men, what's the deal? And Rick says, Scotty, my boy, we're simply here to scout some talent. Out next, we get those famous drums and that pyro as Goldberg is here. Goldberg beats Hugh Morris in less than a minute 30, people. The King screams and starts hollering, we got a new streak. It begins right here tonight. The third match in the World Television Title Tournament is none other than RVD versus Chavo Guerrero Jr. RVD, he gets to win, people. The fourth match in the TV title tournament is none other than Mike Awesome versus K-Dog. Now, this match ends when Mike Awesome is DQ'd for powerbombing Conan onto the steps. Conan is ruled out of the tournament. Macho Man comes out. He finds Mike Awesome $10,000. Mike Awesome laughs it off and walks away. Savage declares that since K-Dog is ruled out, Sabu, RVD, and Rhodes will now be in a triple threat match so that no one contender gets a bye into this in an unfair advantage. Backstage, Scott Hudson interviews Jarrett, who is pissed off that he's not on the show. Says he's going to call Eazy-E to remind him who has all the stroke around here. When none other than Paul Heyman enters the interview. Hi, Jeff. I'm Paul E. Dangerously. You got a few minutes in segment. Where are we going with that, folks? In the main event, to crown a new WCW World Television Championship, RVD versus Sabu versus Rhodes. Arn Anderson, that's right, people, Double A, Arn Anderson, the greatest World Television Champion of all time. He brings the new title out to ringside. We get a fast-paced 20-minute match. Several false finishes with each man looking like they're going to almost win at several different times. Sabu misses with a dive from the ropes. RVD capitalizes with a frog splash on Rhodes for the 1, 2, 3, and new WCW World Television Champion, RVD. Anderson presents RVD with the title as he celebrates. Ric Flair and Lex Luger walk out on the stage clapping hands, and that's how we close our first episode of Nitro on FX. Next week on Nitro, it opens up with the WCW Tag Team Champions Big Van Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow coming out to be interviewed by none other than Stacy Keibler herself. She's got legs, folks. Bam Bam tells Stacy just to stand there looking sexy and hold the mic. Stacy said, we got an open challenge for the titles, and it's approved by Savage if anyone has the guts. Vader says, it's time. It's pain time. Out comes Shane Helms and Evan Courageous. That's not too damn courageous in my idea, people. They answer the call. This gets ugly fast. Bam Bam and Vader, they hit their finishers, pick up the win for the 1, 2, 3 fastly. Up next, we get Mike Awesome versus Rick Steiner. Ho, ho, ho. This is a straight up bar fight, people. Awesome picks up the win with an awesome bomb. After the match, though, however, he puts Rick through a table. Savage and security come down, and Awesome walks away laughing again. We're going to build Mike Awesome up. He's going to be the badass he was in ECW. Backstage, we get Big Papa Pump cutting a heated promo on the World Champion Sting. It says, the math don't lie. And tonight, he will regain the world title in the main event. Up next, we get Bill Goldberg versus Mike Sanders. And if you don't know who that is, well, you're just SOL, people. It's over before it ends. Goldberg for the win. Streak continues. Out comes World Television Champion for WCW RVD. Scott Hudson congratulates the newly crowned champ. Then asks about Flair and Luger, but before he can even answer, out comes more hoes in the Godfather's hoe train. Luger tells Hudson that they sent out a scout, and they were just simply scouting talent, elite talent. Points out that some great horsemen have held that television title, including the TV champion GOAT himself, Double A Arn Anderson. Flair takes over. Rob Van Dam, Mr. Pay-Per-View, soon to be known as the Wednesday Night Delight. Woo! But you know what sounds better than all that? Member of the Four Horsemen. Now, you don't got to answer now. By the way, how was that Rolex we sent you? RVD interjects, almost as nice as the gold bong Lex sent me. Flair, exactly. That's just the beginning of You're a Horseman. Here, enjoy the ladies, champ. Flair and Luger leave as RVD's music hits. Out next we get Jeff Jarrett with Paul E. Dangerously versus the United States champion Booker T in a non-title match. Great matchup as these two always have really great chemistry in the ring. Booker goes for the bookend, but Paul distracts the ref when out comes none other than Mark Jindrak, who hits Booker with the mark of excellence. Jarrett covers for the win. Jarrett, Jindrak, and Dangerously pose and smile at the end. Where are we going here, people? Do we got a dangerous alliance? Who knows? DDP cuts a promo and on Shane Douglas and Lance Storm as they come out and interrupt him. Dustin Rhodes comes out and evens the odds. Savage makes an impromptu match with DDP Rhodes. They get the win. Shane abandons Storm and gets the hell out of there as Lance Storm catches a diamond cutter. In the main event, we get WCW World Champion Sting versus Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. Sting gets a really big mega pop from the Vegas crowd. Steiner is a beast in this match. Pump gets a few close falls, but Sting hits the splash, the death drop for the win. Sting retains to end the show. On WCW.com, they announced the next pay-per-view will be July 8th, 2001 at the Great American Bash. Of course, that's going to be our first real major pay-per-view after the real kickoff. Matches are as follows. For the U.S. title, we get champion Booker T versus Jeff Jarrett with Paul E. Dangerously. For the World Television Champion, we get champion RVD versus Mark Jindrak with Paul E. Dangerously. Paul's done some advocating here. WCW Tag Team Champions, Big Van Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow defend against Dustin Rhodes and DDP, Chuck Palumbo, and O'Hare. Cruiserweight title matchup is Rey Mysterio. He defends his championship against Billy Kidman. Bill Goldberg versus Stevie Ray. And we get World Champion Sting versus Sabu. That's right, people. We're going to show Sabu a little love up in WCW. In the weeks leading into the Bash, Awesome continues his rampages weekly, and the Horsemen continue to court RVD each week as the plot just continues to thicken. Like a good rule, folks. What if, at the Great American Bash, Jeff Jarrett will Paul E. Dangerously win the United States Championship after a guitar shot of Booker T? He KOs the champ, steals the win. In the next match, Rey Mysterio retains the Cruiserweight Championship in a 5-star Meltzer match. After the match, though, however, Mike Awesome would come out and attack Rey Mysterio, brutalizing Rey as he bloodies him up really bad, Muda scale mad, or at this point, Mox level. Awesome bomb through the side stage. Rey is Goldberg over Stevie Ray in under 3 minutes. The new streak continues. Nothing to write home about, people. WCW World Tag Team Championship match is a banger. Vader looks to have the match won when he hits Chuck Palumbo with a Vader bomb, but DDP hits him with a diamond cutter that sends him out of the ring. Dustin covers Palumbo for a stolen win and new WCW World Tag Team Champions DDP and Dustin Rhodes. The Nitro. We get TV champion RVD versus Mark Jindrak with Paul E. Dangerously and Jeff Jarrett. Now, mid-match, Luger and Flair would come down to be in RVD's corner to even the odds a little bit. Luger offers RVD some help, but Rob says no, and then BAM! Flair hits RVD with some brass knuckles while Paul has the ref's attention. 1, 2, 3, and new World Television Champion, Mark Jindrak. Who'd have thought Mark Jindrak would have got some love on this episode? Suddenly, all four men gang out RVD, and it's clear Flair, Luger, Jarrett, Jindrak are the new Four Horsemen. Paul Lee smiles, looks at the camera, and says, I love it when a plan comes together. WCW World Champ versus Sting. No, Sting is the World Champion. What the fuck am I talking about? Versus Sabu. Solid matchup as they continue to have great chemistry in the ring, which I think these two could have probably pulled something off there. Sting is a hard-fought one over Sabu. As Sting celebrates, however, he is attacked by none other than the Four Horsemen. Some things, they just never change, people. Sabu gets a chair and tries to help Sting out, but the two men are just outnumbered. Then, the lights go out. As they come back on, Vampiro is here to help his brother in pain and former rival Sting. Show closes as Sting, Sabu, Vampiro hold the ring as the Four Horsemen exit up the ramp. On Wednesday Nitro on FX, it opened up with Sting coming down and telling the fans he's just as much in the dark as they are about the Horsemen and Vampiro. He goes on to thank Sabu for a hell of a match and the assist afterwards. The lights go out again and a red mist and fog arises on the stage, and out comes Vampiro to the ring. Easy, Stinger. You and I, we've been to hell and back. Fought in graveyards, set each other on fire, you name it. But I do respect the man you are and the fact that you've always carried the WCW flag, no matter if it was a Dangerous Alliance, NWO, WWF, or the Elite Four Horsemen. If you need someone to have your back, well, I'll be your Huckleberry. The fans would pop. They blow the roof off, so to speak. Then the Four Horsemen's music hits. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, Stinger. And I know that better than anyone. And how heavy that gold truly is, states Flair. So you want to trust a goofball in paint that has literally set you on fire? Hell, even I haven't done that. But go ahead. Sting interjects, shut it, Nature Boy. I'm going to move for a fight. Vampiro looks and says, can I play too? Sting says, why not? How about it, Rick? The two of us versus any two of you. Paulie laughs. You guys are delusional. Jarrett says, you got it, Stinger. But be careful what you wish for. In the opening match, we get the new tag team champions, Dustin Rhodes and DDP versus Shane Douglas and Lance Storm with major guns. Man, who remembers her? Fun matchup. Chronic debuts in there at the end of distraction. Shane Douglas, Lance Storm still a win. Afterwards, Chronic lays waste to both teams and poses with the title. Chronic is in for a major push, people. Next, we get Mike Awesome versus two jobbers in a handicap match. Awesome bombs for everyone. 1, 2, 3. Mike Awesome wins. Proceeds to bust them ham and eggers to pieces when out comes none other than K-Dog and Rey Mysterio, both with steel pipes. Rey is back and he is wearing a mask as King says Mike Awesome beat him so bad he had to hide his ugly face in shame. Moving on to the next, we got Scott Hudson as he's interviewing Booker T. And he asks what's next for the former champ as he's on a bit of a losing streak. But before he can answer, out comes Stevie Ray. Little brother, we've both had highs, now lows in singles competition. It's time to remind everybody who's the GOAT of the tag team wrestling world. Booker smiles and says, I can dig it. Don't hate the players, hate the game, suckers. If you just missed our Harlem Heat episode, go back and check that out. Up next, we got Goldberg versus AJ Styles. That's right, people. AJ Styles was a WCW OG before he hit TNA wide the fudge open. AJ shines in this match, actually. But at the end of it, his stinking move could only work for so long. Goldberg, he gets him. 2-star match. Goldberg wins. New streak continues. Styles pops to the house a little bit, but he gets his beat. Sean O'Haire would come out next, and he'd be demanding the mic. And he says he is the future of WCW, and he will be respected. Then out of nowhere, he's hit with an outsider's edge. Scott Hall, denim and all, has returned. He looks at the camera and says, "You know who I am, but you don't know why I've returned." Toothpick to the camera. Scott Hall out through the crowd. What's up, people? In the main event, we get World Champion Sting and Vampiro versus Lex Luger and Jeff Jarrett with Paul E. Dangerously and Richard Flair. Woo! We get a hot main event match here with tons of action. Both sides trade the advantage back and forth. Vampiro hits Luger with a nail in the coffin when Jarrett smashes him with a guitar. Flair slides Jeff a chair and he goes for the chair shot on Sting, but then out of nowhere Sting dodges it. Jin-Track runs down, hits 4-on-1 as his Vampiro is out at this point. Then comes RVD and Sabu to run down and make the save, both with chairs in hand. Savage comes down and states they want to embrace the madness. Well, next week we'll have it on Wednesday Nitro as a Sting Squadron versus the Four Horsemen in War Games. That's right, people. We're going to get a War Games on a Wednesday night Nitro on FX. Now, where do we go from here? Now, I'm going to be honest. I could have played in the weeds on this one right here. This was one that really is like the more I got into it, the more fun it began. A lot of things there's a lot of things, moving parts moving into the end of 2001. Where do we go from here? Really, what's Scott Hall's deal? What did he come back to do, and who's going to come back with him? Does anyone come back with him, or is this where he's going to really get his singles run? Who gets Mike Awesome in check moving forward? I mean, let's face it, people. Do you really think Rey Mysterio and K-Dog are going to do it? A reunited Harlem Heat? Whew, what if? Who beats Goldberg's new streak? I mean, someone's got to get it. Who's it going to be? And does Eddie Guerrero rejoin WCW in November when he is released from the WWF? So a little fun fact, people. Our beloved Eddie Guerrero was released in 2001, November 2001. Not only was he released at the same time, so was China. That's right, people. They let both of them go. She wanted too much money. There was no competition, so they didn't have to give it to her. They let her go. Plus, there was the whole Stephanie and Paul deal. But Eddie was available. Does he return to excellence in WCW, quickly getting a U.S. championship? Do he and China stay together as a new faction there in WCW? Hell, maybe they're the ones that helped put Mike Awesome in check. Does Shawn Michaels finally jump over to WCW? This is around the time he's already married to a Nitro girl, people. He's had his turn to Christ and his heart's in the right place. And we all know he could have been in the ring anyways. Better yet, in 02, does Steve Austin, when he took his ball and go home, does he go over and does he join WCW? Steve Austin and WCW in 02? I mean, that could have very well happened, people, because at the end of the day, the card is always subject to change.